Happiness. What is it? For some, it's a state of mind that allows them to be content, peaceful. For others, it's laughing with friends. For others, it's enjoying a pint of ale. For still others, it's shooting up or snorting or taking pills for recreational drug use. That's what it is. I mean, happiness as we understand it in biology, chemistry, etc., etc., etc. It's a series of chemicals that are released into the brain upon something. Sometimes a circumstance presents it, sometimes taking certain chemicals cause it. But what does it mean? In the greater scheme of things, what does it mean to be happy? Well, a happy person is more productive. A happy person is less distracted with sadness and negativity and with various things pertaining to their own mortality. A happy person is a distracted person. Plain and simple. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Distractions are good. If you're hanging out with your friends and, you're enjoying a cup of tea or something while you play chess, if you're happy doing that, by all means. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, me personally, I hang out with the guys once a week and we do role playing games Dungeons and Dragons, Mutants and Masterminds, Eclipse Phase, the Star Wars Sagas Edition, D20 system. Yeah, we haven't gotten around to getting any of the newer stuff. We're old school. And that's what makes us happy. Because the newer stuff, though we like to test it out, just leads us looking on and going, why? Why did 4th edition become what it was? And this is admittedly for a few of your more D&D-esque nerds, so for those of you who aren't, go ahead and skip it. But for what it is, 4th edition was what it was. Trying to bring in the MMO crowd, we all know it. And 5th edition was trying to take the best of all the other editions with the improvements of 4th edition. And I'd say it worked. It worked so well that it became so easy to not exploit it until the very same thing that happened with 3rd edition, the worst part of 3rd edition, which is also the best part of 3rd edition, happened to 5th edition. And that was supplements. D&D part over. But as far as happiness is concerned, that's what me and my friends do. We nerd out. For some, it's listening to music. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy a bit of classical, soft rock, occasionally old school pop and hip hop. I'm talking, 80s era. None of this newer shit. Justin Bieber can just. I'm not saying anything about him, but most celebrities as they stand now can just go out the window. There's one Kanye West song that I like. There's one Justin Bieber song that I can think of that I can tolerate. There's two Britney Spears songs that don't immediately cause me to start retching upon listening to them. And is it because their music is terrible? No. At least to me, I can classify that it isn't. But that's a discussion for another time. It's not terrible because, like all things, happiness, beauty, it's all in the eye of the beholder. And this is where happiness kind of gets into that weird area. If you behold something glorious, you may be left struck in awe, you may be surprised, you may be just irrevocably saddened over what you just looked at. Like, a train wreck is obviously something sad, and I'm not going to try to make light of it, but it is something so awe-inspiring when you see like a 12 car like train pileup, or you see a subway that's come off the rails and is just crumpled into this giant ball of fire. Like I said, not trying to make light, but it is so awe-inspiring. You're left stunned, you're left speechless. That's awe. And where the word awesome comes from is it's something that's full of awe. Something that allows you to just sit there and go, I have glimpsed into the universe. And it was powerful. You know, uh, for good or ill, these moments are what they are. And for someone to be truly happy, we don't need moments of awe. Learning about colonization efforts on the moon or Mars do not make people happy. They are awesome. They're ridiculously awesome. But most people aren't driven to happiness over it. No one really goes, so colonization on the moon. I feel a little bit better about myself. No one really goes, so colonization on the moon means we could potentially harvest helium-3 that allows us to build fusion reactors, thereby eliminating our need for fossil fuels and various other, highly toxic and pollutant fuel sources in order to provide our electrical needs or energy needs from here into this foreseeable future. That doesn't make people happy. Upon retrospective, they look at it and they're struck with awe about what the potential is, but they're not happy about it. They're not sad about it. And some people get a little angry about it. I'm not pointing fingers or anything, but some groups, usually on the extremist end of various collectives, like to flaunt their power and say that we were not meant to go to the stars, that we were not meant to conquer other worlds, that we were not meant to fly. If we had been given wings, that'd be a different story. And the same thing extends to various other fields of science, but that's one for a different day. And I've touched on a lot of things that's like, well, what does this have to do with happiness? Well, happiness is a series of events or the taking of pharmacological agents or just finding a point where you're not any other emotion, really. And that's the thing about like peace and serenity and everything that people don't really realize is peace, calm, serenity, serene does not contain happiness. You may be calm, you may be peaceful, you may be focused or collected, but you're not happy. See, a happy person tends to be a little irrational. They're so jovial and expressive over everything that they just have to share it with people. A happy person is giddy, they're grinning ear to ear, they're on top of the world, they're on cloud nine. Though cloud nine also leads to, the whole pretense of they are also in love or having a high level of lust, which in turn leads to various other things. But passion and anger are very similar. Love and happiness are very similar. It's because they contain the very same chemical agents and they have the exact same brain responses, and then some, and then not some others. but I'm not here for the biological, biochemical spiel. But that's the whole bit of it. A happy person is a little bit loopy. Why? Well, they've got dopamine and, adrenaline and various other chemicals in their brain causing their heart rate to increase, causing their blood pressure to fluctuate slightly, their blood vessels are dilating, their pupils are dilating, respiration increases, and so you see them, and it's like drinking a lot of alcohol. And that's why, most people who drink alcohol usually have that giddy feeling because anything makes them laugh. They're already primed for their brains to be just bombarded with anything that makes them feel better. But again, like I said, I'm trying not to, but I'm getting off on the spiel. So, happiness is a set of chemical reactions and various other things that cause you to just be giddy and loopy and crazy. Well, that's the truth of it. You may think of it otherwise, but that's what it is, and I'm not saying anything's bad about it. In fact, being happy is a good thing. Peace, calm, and serenity are great if it's used to limit things like pain, suffering, anger, frustration, a whole slew of quote unquote negative emotions. But joy is one of those that we need more of in this world. There needs to be more positive, awe-inspiring moments. Because not all awe-inspiring moments are positive. Take the train wreck that I just, you know, set forth. That is an awe-inspiring moment. But it also elicits, fear, panic, anger over how it could have happened, frustration over, well, that was my train. It just crumpled like a ball. Fear because it's on fire and it's threatening your life. A rise to action that requires either bravery or cowardice, either to escape or to plunge headlong into danger to, rescue those that may or may not be alive inside. It it elicits so many responses, not all of which are positive. Very few people rise to the occasion in that circumstance, but we'll get to that some other day. As for what jovial, awe inspiring moments there are, think of a parade. And no, not one where everything goes wrong, one where it goes right. Nobody's having accidents, none of the balloons are falling down, no power lines are being hit. Everything's been planned out, and it's just awesome how you can see these gigantic helium filled balloons floating through the street, various carts as they drive by with their paper mache and chicken wire constructions. It's awesome. The little feats of human ingenuity that go into them and the amount of creativity for a day of just music, various jovial festivities. It's awe inspiring, but it's positively. You don't go to a parade and you're like, nah, I hate this parade. So and so over there, I hate that balloon. I hate that character. I hate those guys. It's like, if you do that, you didn't go to the parade. You went somewhere else. You didn't like it. In which case, more power to you. Except that you're spreading negativity, and that's not a good thing. But yeah, like parades or having a party. Like if someone spent a few $1,000s on a surprise bash, or even weddings to some degree. Like weddings are usually a fairly large uh, gathering and everything else for jovialness. Um, they're not cheap. Parades aren't cheap, but parades are usually split amongst a lot of people. A wedding might be spread over a few people. Surprise parties usually spread by all the friends associated with the surprise who are throwing the party. My apologies. But those can be rather awesome too. A well done party is something to behold, a well done surprise that is kept even to the day of the person who, is like, did they forget my birthday? No one said anything. And if it goes on long enough, they literally are like, but then you drop it on them and their eyes light up. Their expression changes in an instant. That recognition of not being forgotten. And they become happy again. Now, why is that? Well, it's what it is. It's happiness. It's awe-inspiring. And seeing children play on the playground. Not that I'm saying creep out on anybody or anything, but seeing children play in the playground and having their fun, it leaves a certain calm and contentedness to you. Things are right with the world. That's the way they should be. Watching your favorite YouTube video, or be it cats or some famous YouTuber, doing something really, really stupid, the next viral video, a guy falling down but not being seriously injured, you know, or those moments where it's like, something serious did happen. Like, I can think of, some parkour people that, like, they miss their jump, they land on the ground, and they fall flat. And aside from a couple of scratches, they're like, there was a guy, he was if I remember correctly, he was a window cleaner. He might still be, who survived the wires on his window basket snapping, fell from, I don't know, I think it was like 30 some stories, and it had crumpled around him in such a way that aside from like some broken bones, he was perfectly fine. I think he wound up breaking both his arms and his legs, and I think he might have some other like interior injuries, but he was alive. Like, when you see that kind of stuff, or like those bottle flip videos, for as ludicrous as they are, it's awesome, and it leaves you feeling better because nothing wrong happened. And even sometimes something wrong can happen, but if the guy can get up and just brush it off, it's like, okay, yeah, whatever. As long as no one's panicking, well, enjoy the moment, I guess. Which, that's what happiness is. It's enjoying the moment or the series of moments for whatever drives it to be there. It's enjoying it. Well, we have enough people who are like Sisyphus, the man who pushes a boulder up a mountain and then it comes tumbling back down. Everyone is like Sisyphus. We all have our tasks that we don't like doing, that we have to do because we were dictated by the gods, or we were dictated by our boss, or we're dictated by relationships and dependence and all this, that, and the other to do these various things. But when it's all said and done, we don't have to be negatively affected by them. Not necessarily. I mean, it's difficult to look and find the silver lining of every cloud that burdens us with its presence, but that's what we have to do. If you're surrounded by negativity and you're surrounded by pain and you're surrounded by suffering, then you're going to find yourself either one of two things. You're either going to be affected by it like most normal people are, and you're going to find yourself in a downward spiral of depression, of which there is no escape, sans, lots of help, or you're going to find yourself distancing yourself from it. You've seen so much in the way of misery that it becomes commonplace, that you're so distant from it that that's it. You're cold and emotionless. You found a peace to calm the negative emotions that are elicited, which both in one way, shape, or form are not good. But if you can find something, anything, to keep you attached, to keep you pushing forward, then that's the way it needs to be done. For some, it's, friends and family. For some, it's, you know, hanging out with your coworkers after work. For some, it's, just having your alone time. And yeah, let's face it, there are circumstances that arise that leave people in a circumstance where they no longer have friends or family or anything to speak of. There's I can't think of his name. I'll have to probably look it up again. But there was a Japanese worker who wound up being, you know, late getting up, and it was when nah, you know what? No, I'm not even gonna go in. Not this one. I'll do it in like another one because that's another awesome story. But let's just say the guy, through circumstances, managed to survive, you know, with minimal injuries to both. Like, he got some major cuts and scrapes and everything. He was in the right place at the right time, not because he was lazy, not because, he was sick or anything, but because just happenstance had arisen to where he hadn't been to where he was gonna be for both of the bombs that were dropped in on Japan in World War II to have completely annihilated him. He was late to work because of the first bomb. He was awoken with a start because of the first bomb. And then by the time the second bomb had dropped, because he was late, he wasn't there at work. He was instead on the tram, and it got toppled over, and he was fine. I mean, cuts and scrapes, and of course, Japan's entire economy and everything went to hell, but he was alive. And he would have been if he had gotten up earlier and he had gotten to work on time. He would have been done for. If he hadn't been just taking it easy for a bit, either of the two would have done him in. But he did. And because of that, he's alive. I think he's still alive now. I'll have to look that one up. I'm terrible with, like, everything. It's a lot of anecdotal evidence at this point, yeah. But, yeah, like, happiness can do great things. Like, hanging out with friends, distancing yourself from negative emotions, but not distancing yourself from positive emotions can have some great effects on you. So anytime you get to feeling down, anytime you get to feeling like you're alone in the world, anytime you get to feeling like you just can't take it anymore, even the smallest thing, like stamps and coins, collecting those tends to give some people peace of mind and calm. And some get invigorated because the chance of collecting a rare coin or a limited edition printed stamp or I mean, don't get me wrong. Whenever I was a kid, I used to love those stupid like Happy Meal toys and stuff. Like when they were actually kind of cool. Like trying to get the full collection, or kind of like with some people and various games with collecting attributes and small animals, and you got to get them all. It's something. It's a collection thing. For others, go hang out with your friends. Hang out with your family. If not those, then if you've got access to the internet, if not, it doesn't really matter. Go see a show, go see a movie, go see a comedy, go see a comedian. Go down to a nightclub or something and, watch open mic night. The guy might not be that great, the gal may not be the best, but it's better than nothing sometimes. And not that I'm saying, hashtag do drugs, or I'm advocating for drug usage or anything like that, but there are times when a little escape is better than none. If it literally reaches a point where there is no other alternative, puff a couple, maybe do a line, you know, but do it in a controlled environment. Do it to where you're the one who's in command of what's going on. Make sure you're smart about it. But, like I said, those are only in the most extreme of circumstances, and by that point, I would go see a doctor and see if they can't prescribe you something like an antidepressant or what have you. Because there might be something seriously wrong. I mean, if you can't have fun with the people you're around, and if you can't have fun going to a comedy show, it's either because you have a very, very, very strict non tolerance for various funny things, or there might be something, more extreme. But happiness, joy, joviality, can't think of the word right now. Jovialness. um, it's good for you. Taking it easy is good for you. Having fun is good for you. And don't let anyone say otherwise. But, I forgot to do my little intro, didn't I? Well, in either case, now's as good a time as any, but, um, basically, this is the Nerdcore Neckbeard saying, everybody have fun. Take care of yourselves. And when life gets you down, just remember there's always something positive to be found if you look for it. Sometimes you gotta know where to look, sometimes you come across it by sheer dumb luck. But if you look for it, you're gonna find it. And that's the most important thing. But yeah, so this is the Nerdcore Neckbeard saying bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye. Later. Still working on the outro thing. I'll get to it eventually. But, yeah.